The stars above the Valrani homeworld had always been calm. Their people believed in peace, science, and quiet trade across the galaxy. But one night, all that peace cracked. It happened when the oldest beacon station in their territory went dark. Beacon Station 1070 had floated for centuries, guiding lost ships and monitoring deep space anomalies. No one could remember a time when it wasn't there. It was simply part of the background, a quiet helper in a quiet galaxy. But suddenly, the beacon's signal vanished. At first, no one panicked. Stations sometimes glitched. Ships were sent to investigate. 3 exploration crafts launched within hours. The Valrani expected calm reports. Instead, nothing came back. The station stayed silent. The ships stayed silent. And now, the Valrani government knew something was very, very wrong. By day 3, the Valrani Council gathered in full emergency session. Holoscreens floated around them, showing blinking red alerts from multiple monitoring stations. The Prime Speaker, Yalvik, stood at the center, her skin pale and trembling. Her voice carried across the room. "We have lost contact with Beacon 1070. We have lost 3 scout ships. No debris, no signals, no distress calls." A hush followed her words. Counselor Voltron, older than most, spoke in a shaky voice. "What does this mean?" Yalvik's eyes darkened. "It means there is something out there, something strong, enough to destroy without leaving a trace." Murmurs spread through the chamber. But even as they spoke, another report came in. This time it was worse. A trade convoy had disappeared. 5 large transport ships, hundreds of lives gone without warning. The Valrani Confederation now faced the possibility of war. But against who? No known species had this kind of power. The younger counselors began shouting for defense fleets to mobilize. Yet deep inside, they all felt a weight pulling at their hearts. Fear. Yalvik called for silence again. Her next words shocked the entire council. "There is another option." The room quieted instantly. "There is one power we have not spoken to in over a century." A soft, chilling silence spread through the council chamber as they realized what she meant. One name hung in the air, unspoken, yet heavy: humanity. Over 100 years ago, the Valrani, Confederation, and many other species had decided Earth was too dangerous, too unpredictable. Humanity's rise had been rapid and frightening. Where others debated and studied, humans built weapons. Where others avoided war, humans ran toward it. After the Galactic Accord, Earth cut itself off, voluntarily. Their fleets disappeared. Their ambassadors vanished. The last message from Earth had simply said, "We will watch. We will wait." Now Yalvik looked around the chamber, her voice softer but firm. "We have tried everything else. Our fleets are too slow. Our weapons are too weak. We need help." Voltron shook his head, eyes wide. "No, you would bring them back into our galaxy. After what we saw them do." Yalvik stared at him. "If we do not, we may not have a galaxy left." After hours of debate, arguments that nearly turned violent, the council finally voted. The decision was razor thin. 4 votes in favor, 3 against. The Valrani Confederation would send a signal to Earth. The beacon array was prepared. Old codes were dug up from archives buried in restricted vaults. No one even knew if Earth still listened. But the message was sent, on the oldest, highest priority channel. "This is the Valrani Confederation. We request assistance." Unknown. Hostile force. Entire systems lost. Please respond. Then silence. 1 day passed. No reply. 2 days. Nothing. On the 3rd day, Valrani citizens gathered in public squares, watching holoscreens, waiting. The weight of silence became too heavy. People began to whisper, maybe Earth was gone. Maybe humans had destroyed themselves. The 7th day, at exactly midnight, every communication screen on the Valrani homeworld flickered. Then, A single message appeared across them all. "We're coming." That was all. 2 words. At first, many didn't believe it was real. Was it a trick? A ghost signal? But deep down, everyone knew. There was only one species that spoke like that. So simple, so certain. Humanity was coming. The Velrani government scrambled to prepare. Ports were cleared. Landing zones opened. Defense systems were lowered just in case. But no one truly knew what to expect. And then, on the 10th day, the sky itself changed. Velrani astronomers detected something approaching faster than light. Impossible. No ship had ever moved that way. It's not even human designs as far as anyone knew. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't an armada. It was a single ship. A black silhouette, larger than any station. Its size couldn't be measured properly because its shape didn't follow normal geometry. At some angles it looked like a dagger. At others, like a floating fortress. The ship did not broadcast identification. It ignored hails. It simply drifted into orbit, blocking out the sun for 2 full hours. Panic spread through Velrani cities. Some thought Earth had come to conquer, not help. But Yalvik stood firm. She ordered all channels to remain open, all weapons to stay offline. And then they came. Shuttles launched from the black ship, sleek, silent, painted matte black with no lights, no windows. From those shuttles, human soldiers disembarked. They were not like the humans Velrani remembered. These wore full body armor so dark, it seemed to swallow light. No faces showed, no markings or flags. The human soldiers walked in perfect formation. Step by step. Silent. Purposeful. Velrani officials sent diplomats to greet them. The humans said nothing. They did not even seem to acknowledge the greetings. Instead, they moved through Velrani cities like shadows, setting up strange devices in public squares and on rooftops. The devices pulsed softly, making a low hum. Velrani scientists watched, confused and terrified. What were these things? Weapons? Shields? Traps? No one knew. But when one young Velrani officer, Commander Tarek, decided to follow the humans secretly, he learned something terrifying. Tarek hid behind crates and buildings as the human team moved through the city's industrial sector. Suddenly the humans stopped, weapons raised. A moment later something appeared, a cloaked figure, alien in shape. It had been hiding among the Velrani, its disguise flickering. Before Tarek could react, the human soldiers moved. One shot. Clean, fast. The alien infiltrator dropped dead instantly. Tarek stared in shock. The humans had known it was there the whole time. They had been hunting it. That night, as Velrani citizens tried to sleep under the shadow of the black ship, new lights appeared in the sky. Hundreds of new ships, not human. The enemy had arrived. The same force that had destroyed Beacon 1070, the same force that had erased entire systems. Now they came for Velrani Prime, sirens wailed. Civilians rushed underground. Velrani fleets scrambled to launch, but they knew they were too late. Above them, the human warship still hovered, unmoving, silent. Many believed it had been a lie, that Earth had come too late. But just as the enemy ships fired their first volleys, the human ship moved. With a single pulse of light, it launched from orbit, accelerating so fast it left burning trails in the sky. And as Tarek watched from a command tower, standing beside Prime Speaker Yalvik, he whispered words that would soon spread across the entire galaxy. They didn't come to talk. They came to hunt. For the first hour after the enemy fleet arrived, Velrani leaders couldn't look away from the sky. Hundreds of ships filled orbit sharp, spiked silhouettes moving in perfect formation. They weren't just here to attack. They meant to erase everything. Inside the Velrani Prime Command Tower, Speaker Yalvik stood with her advisors. Her skin was pale. Her hands trembled as she watched enemy ships move. There was only silence from the human vessel. The great black warship hadn't moved again. Since its sudden leap upward, it hovered now like a mountain carved from shadow. Velrani officers sent signal after signal asking for instructions, begging for help. Still nothing. Counselor Veltran spoke, his voice broken with fear. We shouldn't have called them. We shouldn't have trusted. He stopped mid-sentence. The human warship moved, but it didn't attack yet. Instead, its hull seemed to change. Valrani scientists screamed into their comms as their scanners went blind. Radar sensors, light speed analysis, all of it useless. One moment, the human ship looked like a floating dagger. The next, its hull folded outward, opening into shapes that should not have been possible. Massive cannons appeared along its sides. Beams of cold light flickered from its underbelly. Then came the sound. The entire atmosphere vibrated, low, deep, as if the planet itself could hear the human ship's engines growling. Valrani soldiers stared in awe, and then it began. Without warning, the enemy fleet fired first. Hundreds of energy bolts, plasma torpedoes, gravity slings. The sky turned red and blue and purple all at once. Valrani. Civilians screamed as the upper clouds caught fire, but the human ship didn't flinch. One black shield flared to life, swallowing every weapon. Then, in perfect silence, the human warship struck back. Valrani's sensors couldn't read the weapons. There was no heat, no light. But in the sky, one enemy ship after another simply folded in half, as if gravity itself had been turned against them. Counselor Veltron dropped to his knees in shock. Yalvik could only whisper, "What are they?" From the ground, it looked like the human ship wasn't fighting a battle, it was cleaning the sky. Enemy ships burst apart one after another. Not in fire, but in quiet explosions of metal and black smoke. That's when the shuttles returned. Valrani command stations reported. Incoming craft human dropships heading toward the surface, not just to the capital. To every major city, in Valroni's Grand Plaza, where human soldiers had already deployed devices days earlier, a second wave of humans arrived. These weren't the silent soldiers from before. These wore thicker armor. Their helmets glowed faint blue. Each carried heavy rifles that pulsed with quiet energy. The Valrani military commander Tarek ran to the plaza to meet them. He'd seen the first human soldiers hunt an infiltrator. Now he stood face to face with their reinforcements. One human soldier walked up to him. No insignia, no rank markings. Just armor so dark it reflected nothing. Tarek stepped forward slowly, hands raised in peace. "Please, can you tell me what is happening?" The human soldier didn't answer. Instead, a soft voice came through from a speaker mounted in the armor. Not recorded, not robotic, real, calm. This world is under Earth's protection. It was the first time anyone had heard the humans speak since arriving, before Tarek could respond. More human soldiers spread out, moving with frightening precision. Above them, the human warship split into multiple sections. Valrani, scientists watching from observatories, screamed again. "No." One researcher shouted into the council comms. "It's impossible. Ships that size can't split." It did. Sections of the black warship separated like pieces of a puzzle. Each part moved independently. Smaller warships, carriers, gun platforms. UAL Vic stood at her command window, watching them rain down from orbit. Not as an invasion, it's defense. Then the sky above Valrani Prime changed color again. From behind the clouds, enemy ground forces began landing. Dropships shaped like knives. Black smoke pouring from their engines. They didn't ask for surrender. They didn't negotiate. The battle for Valrani Prime had begun. Human and enemy forces clashed in the city streets. The Valrani military tried to join, but quickly realized they weren't fast enough. Tarek and his officers watched as human soldiers moved in small squads, hunting enemy units with terrifying accuracy. The enemy creatures, tall, scaled beings in bone armor, tried to fight back. Plasma blades. Heavy repeaters. But it didn't matter. Human rifles fired silent beams of white light. One shot, one kill. No misses. No hesitation. And when human soldiers got close, they moved like nothing the Valrani had ever seen. Smooth, no wasted movement. As if each human had practiced every battle 1,000 times before it ever happened. Valrani civilians huddled in underground shelters. Watching from camera feeds, children asked, "Who are they? Parents could only whisper, "Earth's elite." The names spread across the planet within hours, and it wasn't just about fighting. The strange devices human soldiers had placed days earlier activated now. Shield walls sprang up around hospitals, refugee centers, food storage buildings, not just protecting humans, protecting Velrani citizens. Yalvik watched through a command feed as one of those shield domes stopped an enemy bombardment entirely. The humans hadn't just come to fight, they had come to save, for the first time. In Velrani history, an alien species had taken direct command over their world's defense. And no one argued, because deep down, even the oldest and most stubborn Velrani knew the truth. If Earth hadn't answered that call, Velrani Prime would already be ash and smoke. In the final hour of that terrible day, as the sun set behind black, smoke, clouds, and burning enemy wreckage, something even stranger happened. The human commander finally stepped forward publicly. His dropship landed in the Grand Plaza, surrounded by elite soldiers. Velrani leaders gathered Yalvik, Tarek, and the council members. For the first time, the human commander removed his helmet. He was older than expected. Pale scars marked his face. His eyes, cold gray, showed no fear. His voice was calm, firm. "From this day," he said so everyone could hear, "this planet stands under Earth's shield." No one spoke for a long time. And above them all, the human warship remained silent and watching, like a shadow stretched across the stars. The sky over Velrani Prime remained quiet now, stained with black lines from the burned remains of enemy ships. Yet no one in the city felt calm, not even close. Human soldiers walked their streets. Velrani citizens gathered behind windows, watching. In silence, as Earth's elite forces moved through the capital, every human wore the same matte black armor, face completely hidden behind helmets with no lights, no expressions. They never spoke to each other. They never seemed to rest. In the heart of the city, Commander Tarek stood at the Grand Plaza. Around him, teams of Velrani soldiers worked nervously, checking defense grids and scanning for any new enemy signals. But mostly they watched the humans. Quietly, carefully. The humans set up more of their strange devices. Black towers as tall as two Velrani stacked on top of each other. No one could explain them. Velrani scientists tried. They walked up with scanners, held up data pads, but the devices refused to give off any reading. No energy signature, no magnetic field. It was like scanning a shadow. Finally, one young scientist, Laren, stepped closer than the others, tapped lightly on the metal surface of one of the black towers. The nearest human soldier turned his head, slow and smooth, like a machine. Laren froze. The human took 2 steps toward him. That was all. No weapon raised, no words spoken. But Laron backed away so quickly he nearly dropped his scanner. "Commander," Tarek stepped in. He'd seen enough. He approached the human soldier calmly, raising both hands in the standard peace gesture. "Please," Tarek said, voice low, steady. "We need to understand what these machines are. Our people, our council. They're asking questions. Can you explain?" The human didn't move. For a full 10 seconds, Tarek wasn't sure if he was being ignored. Then came the sound. A quiet pulse from the soldier's helmet speaker. "Defense grid." That was all. One phrase. 2 words. Tarek felt something cold run down his back. The human wasn't ignoring them. He simply wasn't programmed or ordered to speak unless necessary. In those black towers, they were weapons or shields, or both. Days pass like this. Humanity's elite forces spread across Velrani Prime. In every city, every power station, every military command hub. The Velrani didn't dare ask them to leave, not after what they'd seen, but the silence began to wear on people's nerves. At council meetings, arguments broke out. "This isn't help anymore," Councillor Valtron growled. "This is control. We called them for defense, not to take over our planet." Yalvik said nothing at first. She sat watching silent camera. Feeds showing humans moving through Velrani buildings, standing guard like living statues. "They've saved us," Yalvik said quietly. "Would you rather they hadn't come?" Valtran shook his head, but his face showed no peace. Then something happened. Late at night, two human soldiers were seen moving toward the industrial sector without escort, without announcement. Valrani cameras caught them slipping through alleyways, moving faster than anyone could follow. Tarek was informed immediately. He gathered a small team and followed. They moved quietly, shadows under shadows. For over an hour, they tracked the human soldiers, past factories, past fuel depots. Then, without warning, one human stopped. Hand raised. The second soldier vanished into the darkness. Tarek ordered his team to hold position. What was happening? That's when he saw it. A figure moving on the rooftops across the street. Not a human, not Valrani, something else. The figure flickered its skin, shifting colors like a chameleon. One moment metallic, the next moment invisible. Infiltrators. Tarek didn't even have time to warn his team. The nearest human soldier raised his rifle. No words, no hesitation. One pulse of silent white light. The infiltrator collapsed. Tarek stared. So did his entire team. The human soldier lowered his rifle as if nothing had happened. He didn't check the body. He didn't speak. It was clear now, these humans weren't just setting up defenses. They were actively hunting threats Valrani couldn't even detect. Later that night, Tarek reported directly to Yalvik. "I followed them myself," he said quietly. They knew before we did. Before our sensors, they're not here for show." Yalvik listened, her face pale. And in that same moment, as if fate had planned it, Valrani observatories caught a new signal. More enemy ships. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. This wasn't an invasion force anymore. This was extermination. Every council member gathered within minutes. Valrani fleets were ordered to full readiness. Sirens blared across every city. Ow! But Tarek remained calm. He walked out onto the Grand Plaza, looking up at the sky. And there, already in position, were the human soldiers. No panic, no shouting, silent, waiting, as if they already knew this moment was coming. Above them all, Earth's black warship drifted into motion again. New weapon bays opened along its hull. The sky split open once more this time, with the full force of Earth's elite moving not just to defend Valrani Prime, but to end the war before it could spread further. Valrani officers watched in silence as humanity prepared for battle once, again wordless, relentless, and terrifying. For the first time in Valrani history, the sky glowed with enemy fire. It wasn't just one city or one fleet under attack now. The entire planet was at risk. Enemy ships arrived in waves. Hundreds, maybe more. They came from all directions, surrounding Valrani Prime like a dark net in the council chamber. Prime Speaker Yalvik stood in silence. No orders were left to give. Valrani fleets had already launched. Every defense cannon, every satellite shield, every fighter squadron was in the sky. But everyone watching the hollow screens knew it wasn't enough. The enemy ships were too fast, too many. Valrani officers sent out a final request. "Earth forces, do you copy? Valrani Prime requires immediate assistance." No response came back. The human warship just floated there. Still, dark, silent. For 6 long minutes, the Valrani command towers reported, "Enemy closing in. Weapons range in 30 seconds. Then it happened. The human warship moved. First, a single pulse of blue-white light flashed from the center of its hull. Valrani scanners went blind again. Sensors couldn't read anything. Then, in complete silence, sections of the black ship unfolded like wings. Entire rows of cannon ports, missile bays, and railgun spines exposed themselves. The enemy fired first. The sky lit up like fire and lightning mixed together. Plasma beams, torpedoes, energy bolts, but none of it touched the human vessel. Instead, from its sides a shield bloomed outward, not a bubble, not a wall, but something stranger. It bent space itself. Enemy shots hit invisible walls of gravity and vanished, and then the human warship fired back. There was no sound, no warning, no countdown. One moment the enemy fleet was there, the next half of it wasn't. Entire ships bent in half, as if crushed by unseen hands. Others folded into themselves, collapsing like paper. Some simply blinked out of existence. From the surface, Velrani citizens gathered in streets and towers, staring upward. The night sky was a web of blue and white flashes now. Children asked their parents, "What is that?" And the parents didn't have words. They'd seen human weapons before, hundreds of years ago, but not like this. At the command tower, Tarek stood next to Yalvik. His voice was calm, but his face showed no peace. "They're not fighting," he said. "They're exterminating." Yalvik said nothing. Down in the cities, human elite squads moved through the streets again. Now they weren't just standing. Guard. Enemy ground troops landed, black armored creatures, moving in packs. They attacked anything in sight. Velrani soldiers, power grids, food storage. But wherever they struck, human soldiers were already waiting. At City Sector 5, one of Velrani's major power hubs, an enemy group broke through outer gates. Velrani? Defense teams fell back, shouting for help. Then came the sound Velrani now recognized, that quiet pulse of a human weapon charging. 3 human soldiers stepped out from the smoke. No words, no orders. Their rifles glowed once, in seconds, every. The enemy in that street lay dead. Silent beams of light had cut through them like paper. Tarek and his officers watched dozens of similar feeds from across the planet in every city, every battle zone. Human soldiers didn't panic, didn't shout. They fought like machines. Faster, sharper, more precise than anything the Velrani had ever trained. By midnight, enemy fleet remnants broke formation. Some tried to escape back into deep space. The human warship let them go. That surprised even Yalvik. "Why?" she asked quietly, standing near her command window. "Why let any of them live?" Tarek answered, his voice slow. "Because they want the others to know. It wasn't about total destruction. It was about sending a message." By dawn, the battle was over. The stars above Velrani Prime still burned with debris. Half of the sky was covered in floating wreckage. Enemy ships torn in half. The human warship returned to a low-orbit position, drifting silently once more. Down below, human elite squads began deactivating some of the black towers they had placed days before. Others they left behind, still pulsing. Softly, Velrani scientists approached them again, scanners in hand. But no data came through, and once again, human soldiers said nothing. They simply watched. Waiting later that same morning, Prime Speaker Yalvik stood before her people in the Grand Plaza, holoscreens across the planet. Broadcasted her speech. She didn't speak long. "We called for help," Yalvik said. And Earth answered. Today, Velrani Prime stands because of them. Behind her, human soldiers stood in formation. Black armor, silent. But now Velrani citizens didn't look at them with fear. They looked with quiet respect, because even though they had barely spoken, even though no one knew their names or faces, those humans had saved them. Tay stood near the edge of the plaza, watching both Yalvik and the human commander. The human leader had never taken off his helmet again. He didn't wave, didn't smile. He simply stood there, silent as always. The message was clear without words. Earth's elite didn't come for thanks. They came to protect. They came to hunt. And now, all of Velrani knew, without question, the stars would never feel quiet again. Not while Earth's shadows were watching. The sky over Velrani Prime no longer burned. Enemy fleets had been destroyed. Ground forces hunted down. In every city, human elite soldiers still patrolled like silent shadows. To the Velrani people, things felt calm again. But for the leaders, there was a different kind of fear now. What did Earth really want? Why had they answered the call after so many years of silence? Commander Tarek asked those questions privately every day. Prime Speaker Yalvik asked them in the council chamber. But there were no real answers. The humans weren't talking. And then something happened that no one planned. One Valrani scientist, Laurent, decided he couldn't wait anymore. Laurent was young, impatient, and brilliant. He'd spent his whole career studying human technology from old archives. Now he saw it with his own eyes. Weapons, armor, warships, beyond anything in Valrani records. He needed to know more. So Laren made a plan. He would sneak aboard the human warship. Alone, it was a simple plan. The humans had set up shuttles moving supplies between their landing zones and their massive ship in orbit. Laren waited until midnight, when the human guards were fewest, and slipped into a supply crate loaded with medical packs. The crate was sealed. Laren couldn't breathe properly. He couldn't see. But after what felt like hours, he felt weightlessness. The shuttle had launched. When it opened again, Laren's heart nearly stopped. He was aboard the Titan-class human warship. At first, everything was dark, silent. He slipped out of the crate, staying close to the walls. No alarms sounded. No soldier spotted him. But what Laurent saw made him freeze in place. The inside of the ship wasn't just metal walls and bright lights like Valrani designs. It was strange. The walls pulsed gently, like living skin under armor. Lights floated in the air like tiny stars. And as Laren moved deeper inside, he found things he couldn't understand. Massive halls bigger than entire Valrani cities. Weapon bays filled with machines so large they seemed to bend gravity. Rooms with frozen statues of human soldiers, standing in perfect lines, as if sleeping. But the strangest thing came when he reached what looked like a control room. In the center was a giant display screen, 3 times Laren's height. Images flickered on it. Old battles, planets burning, ships fleeing. And then he saw something that stopped his breath completely. It was Valrani Prime. Not as it was now, but as it had been hundreds of years ago. During the last days, Earth spoke to the galaxy. Laren watched in silence as recorded human voices spoke through the room. Final accord initiated. Earth withdrawing. Level 0 threat confirmed. Do not engage. Then another voice, colder, sharper. If they call us again, we will answer. But only once. That's when Laren understood something terrible. Earth hadn't left the galaxy because they were afraid. They had left because the galaxy was too dangerous for everyone else. Humanity had created weapons so powerful, so destructive, that even their own allies couldn't be trusted to control them. So Earth pulled back, sealing its fleets away, locking its Titan class. Warships in deep space, hiding, waiting only for the most extreme situations would they return. And now they were here again. Laren felt dizzy. Shouldn't be seeing any of this. He turned to Livonli to freeze. A human soldier stood in the doorway. Black armor. Silent Laren held up his hands, shaking. Please, please, I just wanted to know. The soldier didn't move for a long time. Then, from the helmet speaker, a quiet voice. Curiosity is dangerous. Laren expected arrest, interrogation, maybe worse. But instead, the soldier stepped aside, motioning for Laren to follow. Shaking, Laren obeyed. He was led through the warship's halls until they reached a large chamber at the very center. And there, standing alone, was the human commander. Helmet removed, gray eyes, scarred face, the same man Valrani had seen only once before. Laurent couldn't speak, but the commander did. You wanted to know, he said calmly. Now you do. Laurent swallowed hard. Why? Why show me? The human commander looked him in the eyes. His answer was slow, measured. Because soon, all of you will need to understand. He gestured toward a smaller holoscreen nearby. It showed star maps, battle reports, and one word repeated in bold red symbols. Daxarith. The commander spoke again. They're back. Laren's voice cracked. Who? The ones who made us leave, the human commander said. The Daxarith. We thought they were extinct. We were wrong. Silence stretched between them. Then the human commander nodded once and 2 soldiers stepped forward. Take him back, he ordered quietly. Laren was escorted back to the shuttle bay. Hours later, he found himself standing once again on Valrani's soil, his head spinning, his heart racing, and all he could think about was what he had seen. The secrets Earth had buried for centuries. The reason they returned, and the war that was just beginning. Days after the battle for Velrani Prime ended, calm returned to the cities, streets cleared. The skies showed stars again, no longer hidden by wreckage and smoke, but that calm wasn't real. Prime Speaker Yalvik knew it. Commander Terek knew it. The Velrani people felt it in their bones. The human elite were still everywhere. Their black armor moved through cities, silent as ever, setting up new towers, new scanners. Their great warship remained in orbit, never leaving, never switching off its weapons. It wasn't over. The real reason came days later. At the Grand Council Hall, the Velrani leaders gathered again. For once, the human commander was there too. Standing behind Yalvik like a silent wall, his helmet was back on, hiding his face. Everyone sat in silence as Terek stepped forward with a report. His voice was low, steady. Our analysts worked with human technicians, Terek said. We decrypted part of the enemy's signal logs, coordinates, ship types, command orders. He paused. His hands tightened around the tablet in front of him. The enemy isn't random, council members stirred. They're organized, Terek continued. They have structure, and they follow a central command. Yalvik asked the question everyone feared. Who leads them? At that moment, the human commander stepped forward. For the first time, he spoke in front of the entire Velrani Council, the Daxarith. Gasps filled the hall. The name was old. Faded in history books, shadow from the past, but everyone knew it. The Daxarith were an ancient species, thought extinct. A race of conquerors that had tried centuries ago to wipe out half the galaxy, including Earth. The last time they had appeared, humanity had unleashed its deadliest weapons to stop them. Now they were back. Yalvik's voice trembled slightly. We thought they were gone. The human commander simply shook his head. They were hiding, waiting. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the chamber, showing grainy footage from a captured enemy ship. There it was. A Daxarith leader. Tall skeletal armor, dark red skin. Eyes like molten metal. Its voice came through the speakers in broken. Galactic Standard, we return. We remember. Darek leaned closer to the projection. They remember us? The human commander replied coldly. They remember Earth. For a long time, no one spoke. The weight of that truth settled over the council like a storm cloud. But the most terrifying part wasn't just knowing the Daxareth had returned. It was realizing why Earth had stayed silent all these years. They weren't hiding from the galaxy. They were waiting for this exact moment. One of the younger council members, shaken, whispered the question on everyone's mind. What happens? Now the human commander answered without hesitation. Now we finish it. That same night, Velrani observatories detected new enemy fleets gathering beyond known star charts. Systems far outside trade routes now showed signs of Daxarith movement. Entire colonies had gone dark. Whole regions of space became black zones. Velrani. Scientists scrambled to update their maps. But the information came too fast. It wasn't just Velrani Prime at risk now. The whole galaxy was next. Meanwhile, aboard the Titan-class human warship in orbit, something else stirred. Silent hangar bays opened along its hull. From deep inside those hangars, black ships emerged smaller than the Titan-class, but still larger than anything Velrani fleets could field. Elite hunter-killer units, strike cruisers, drones the size of cities. Humanity's war machine was no longer sleeping in the Velrani capital. Citizens watched in awe as Earth's fleets activated one by one. Children asked again, will they save us? Parents gave no answer. At the Grand Plaza, Terek stood beside Yalvik as they watched human troops loading onto shuttles. Terek asked quietly, do you trust them? Yalvik didn't look away from the sky. They're not here because we called them, she said. They're here because it was always going to happen. That night, the Daxarith sent a message directly to the human warship. It wasn't intercepted by Velrani systems. It went straight to Earth's elite command in the council chamber. The human commander played it aloud for everyone to hear. The Daxarith leader's voice filled the room, low and echoing. We see you, Earth. We remember. Your fire? We remember your titans. Come now, we are waiting. Silence. The human commander stared at the hologram. No. Prepare the fleet. Prepare the fleet. We go hunting. For the first time, Velrani Prime wasn't afraid, because now they understood the truth. The galaxy's worst nightmare wasn't the Dax or ITH. It was Earth's answer. The Velrani people had never seen a full human fleet in motion before. They had watched smaller black ships leave the great warship's hangars. But now the real show began. It started with a single deep pulse from the Titan class. Warship in orbit, a low hum that echoed across every scanner. Across the entire planet, Velrani command centers reported strange readings. Mass displacement detected. Gravity fields increasing. Energy surge beyond scale. Commander. Tarek stood on the council tower balcony beside Prime Speaker Yalvik, looking up at the sky. What he saw took his breath away. The Titan warship wasn't moving alone anymore. From deep space, other ships arrived. Not through normal jump drives, not with visible engines. They simply appeared. 6 more Titan-class warships, each one larger than entire Velrani cities. Each one black as the void, outlined only by the light of the stars they blocked. The humans had brought them all. For a long time, no one on Velrani Prime spoke. Not the soldiers, not the civilians, because they understood what they were looking at now. This wasn't just a human fleet. This was a full Titan awakening. A message not just to the Daxarith, but to the entire galaxy. Earth wasn't hiding anymore. In the Grand Plaza, human soldiers formed silent formations. No one gave speeches. No banners waved. But the message was clear. Yalvik whispered to Tarek, her voice tight with disbelief. This is why they left the galaxy. To hide these. Tarek said nothing. His heart was beating too fast. Suddenly, across every Velrani communication screen, a single message appeared. Black background. White text. Earth Defense Code 0. Preparing for final engagement. Then, the first time, every human soldier on Velrani Prime moved as one. Their helmets lit up with thin blue lines. Their silent rifles powered on. Shuttles lifted into the air. By the hundreds, carrying troops back to the warships, Tave ran to meet the human commander one last time. He caught up to him at the landing pad, just as the final shuttles loaded. "Wait," Tarek called out, breath sharp. The human commander stopped and turned, helmet still hiding his face. Tarek stepped closer. His voice was rough but honest. "We fought beside you. We trusted you. But where are you going now?" The human commander answered with a simple sentence. "We end it at the source." Tarek's eyes narrowed. "You're going after the Daxarith homeworld." The human commander said nothing. He only gave a small nod. Then the final shuttles rose into the sky. From the ground, all of Velrani watched as the Titan fleet gathered. Together, 7 black warships. 7 shadows moving through space, as if gravity itself bent around them. Velrani scientists recorded everything, knowing they were witnessing history that no one had believed possible. And then, without warning, the Titans jumped. No lights, no sound. No traditional engines. One second they were there, the next, it's gone. The sky over Velrani Prime became quiet again. It's truly quiet. For many it felt like the end. For Yalvik, Tarek, and those who understood what was really happening, it wasn't. Over it was just the beginning. 3 days passed. Silence. No reports from the human fleet. No updates until on the 4th day. A single signal arrived at Velrani Prime's command tower. From Earth. A human voice spoke through the speakers. "The Titans have engaged. The Daxarith Empire is falling." Across Velrani cities, cheers broke out. Relief, fear, hope, all mixed together. But Yalvik and Tarek knew better. They stood on the council balcony again, looking up at the stars. Tarek spoke first, his voice quieter than usual. "Do you really think After this, Earth will come back to the galaxy. To trade. To talk. To join us again. Yalvik didn't answer immediately. She watched the stars flicker. No, she said at last.
Oh.
Earth isn't coming back to join us. Tarek turned to her. Confused? Then what? Yalvik's voice dropped to a whisper. They're coming back to watch. 'Cause once the Titans finished their hunt, once the Daxarith were destroyed, the humans would return. Not as allies, not as conquerors, but as the galaxy's quiet shadows, always waiting, always prepared, and the Velrani would never forget the day the Titans awoke. Weeks had passed since Earth's Titan fleet vanished into deep space. Velrani Prime's skies had been calm, quiet. No more enemy signals, no more battles. But no one on the planet felt peace. In the Grand Council chamber, Prime Speaker Yalvik stood before the full assembly. Behind her, the last human devices remained. Black towers humming softly. Silent reminders that Earth had once walked among them. A quiet message played on every screen across the planet. Earth confirms Daxarith Empire neutralized. Titan fleet. Returning to secure systems, Earth's presence remains active. That was all. No celebration, no grand speech, just confirmation. The threat was gone. Humanity had finished it. But the Velrani people still asked one question over and over again. Will Earth come back here? The answer wasn't simple. Commander Tarek stood beside Yalvik as she addressed the council. Her voice was steady, calm. We called for help, she said, and Earth answered. But the truth is, they were never really gone. That afternoon, Tarek walked through the Grand Plaza alone. He stopped in the exact place where Earth's elite soldiers had once stood guard. The plaza was empty now, except for one thing. A single black pillar. 10 meters tall. Smooth metal. No markings. No lights. The humans had left it behind. Velrani scientists studied it day and night, but they couldn't unlock its purpose. Some believed it was a shield generator. Others believed it was a signal beacon. But Tarek knew better. He stood there, hand resting against the cool surface. No vibrations. No hum. Yet deep down, he felt watched. Then something changed. As Tarek stepped back, the pillar pulsed once with a faint blue glow. Across the planet, other black towers did the same. Yalvik was alerted immediately, her command team reported. All Earth devices activated simultaneously. Unknown purpose. The Velrani Council gathered, holding their breath. Then, from the sky, a single human ship appeared. Not a Titan-class warship this time. It's not an invasion fleet. Just one sleek black vessel, silent as ever. It hovered above the capital. No weapons. Raised, a message came through, broadcast on all channels in simple, clear words. This is Earth Defense Command. The Daxarith threat is concluded. But our watch does not end. Humanity will remain. Yalvik's heart clenched. Remain? She whispered, and then she understood. The humans weren't returning to rule Velrani Prime. They were staying as shadows, as watchers always waiting. Always. Ready, Tayer said it quietly beside her. The elite do not leave. They only step back into the dark. From that day forward, Velrani Prime changed. Black towers remained active in every major city. Silent human ships passed through orbit from time to time. No one dared attack Velrani space again. Not pirates, not rival species, because everyone knew Earth's elite were watching. They didn't send diplomats. They didn't open trade. They didn't need to. They had already sent the only message Galaxy would ever need to hear. When Velrani Prime begged for help, Earth answered with its most terrifying force. And when the Titans awoke, the Galaxy trembled. Now, Earth's shadow would never truly leave. The Velrani people lived their lives in peace again, but sometimes, late at night, they would look up at the stars and wonder, where were the Titans now? And if danger ever returned? How fast would Earth return with them? No one knew. But everyone believed one simple truth. The elite were still out there, silent, hidden, waiting for the next call.